If you want, switch on that fan. Fan. Pull the other one, it will oscillate. Hard. Okay, I think we'll start. वागर्ता विव संपृक्तौ वागर्त प्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ प्रपंच सृष्ट्युन्मुखलास्य कायै समस्त संहारकताण्डवाय जगज्जनन्यै जगदेकपित्रे नमः शिवायै च नमः शिवाय वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां हरिः ओम्. कदा वा त्वां दृष्ट्वा गिरिश तव भव्याङ्घ्रियुगलं गृहीत्वा हस्ताभ्यां शिरसि नयने वक्षसि वहन् समाश्लिष्टाग्राय स्फुटजलजगन्धान् परिमलान् अलभ्यां ब्रह्माद्यैः मुदमनुभविष्यामि हृदये करस्ते हेमाद्रौ गिरिशनिकटस्थे धनपतौ गृहस्थे स्वर्भुजामरसुरभिचिन्तामणिगणे शिरस्ते शीतांशौ चरणयुगलस्ते अखिल शुभे कमर्तं दास्येऽहं भवतु भवतर्तं मम मनः त्वत्पादाम्बुजमर्चयामि परमं त्वां चिन्तयाम्यन्वहं त्वामीशं शरणं व्रजामि वचसा त्वामेव याचे विभो वीक्षां मे दिश चाक्षुषीं सकरुणां दिव्यैश्चिरं प्रार्थितां शम्भो लोकगुरो मदीय मनसः सौख्योपदेशं कुरु वस्त्रोद्धूतविधौ सहस्रकरता पुष्पार्चने विष्णुता गन्धे गन्धवहात्मतान्नपचने बर्हिर्मुखाध्यक्षता पात्रे कांचन गर्भतास्ति मयि चेत् बालेन्दुचूडामणे शुश्रूषां करवाणि ते पशुपते स्वामिन् त्रिलोकी गुरो नालं वा परमोपकारकमिदं त्वेकं पशूनां पते पश्यन् कुक्षिगतान् चराचरगणान् बाह्यस्थितान् रक्षितुं सर्वामर्त्यपलायन औषधमतिज्वालाकरं भीकरं निक्षिप्तं गरलं गले च गलितं नोद्गीर्णमेव त्वया ज्वालोग्रः सकलामरातिभयदक्षुवेलः कथं वा त्वया दृष्टः किं च करे धृतः करतले किं पक्वजम्बूफलम् जिह्वायां निहितश्च सिद्धगुटिका वा कण्ठदेशे भृतः किं ते नीलमणिर्विभूषणमयं शम्भो महात्मन् वद. We saw the last two shlokas when we met probably 3 weeks back. So these two shlokas, the last two shlokas, Acharya is talking about this hala visha, which he just consumed it and kept it on his, that's why it's called Nilakanta. So it talked about that. So Acharya was praising that kind of a lila that Shiva has been doing. So what will happen? There is one more shloka which comes, which we will see today. That also is in a way continuation of this Leela of Halahala Visha and so on. But in between, there is another shloka. So we'll have to see that shloka, and then there is another shloka which is related to that. So we will see those shlokas for the day. Nalamba sakrudeva deva bhavata seva natirva puja va smaranam kata shravanam kata shravanam apyalokanam madrisham स्वामिन्नस्थिर देवतानुसरणाया सेन किं लभ्यते कावा भक्तिरित कुतो भवति चेत् किं प्रार्थनीयं तदा. I'll do a padacheda first, then we will see what is being told here. Na alamva, is this not enough? Alam is enough. Na alamva, we already saw one more shloka. Na alamva sakruteva deva, he deva, bhavatah seva natihi va nutihi. That becomes natirva nutihi. Puja va smaranam kata shravanam api alokanam madrisham. Swamin, the next one is a fairly long one, but the moment you split it, you will understand the meaning. That's the idea of this Sanskrit. Astira, not stira, astira. Swamin astira devata anusarana ayasena. That's what is become a single word now. The 4 words have become a compound word. Astira devata anusarana ayasena. That's a single samasta pada. But there are 4 words there. Astira devata anusarana ayasena. Kim labhyate. Kava muktihi itaha kuto bhavati chet kim prarthaniyam tada. So that is the padacheda here. So what Acharya is doing, in fact, a similar idea we have seen a little early. So it is getting reinforced again here. So what is it saying? Na alamva. Na alamva, is this not enough? What is not enough? So that is being told in the first 2 lines. Acharya mentions a few things. Is this not enough? So that's how it says. Na alamva. Sakrudeva, at least once. That's what it is. Hey Deva, the Deva is in Sambodhana. Hey Deva, na alamba sakrudeva. Is it not enough? We do even once. What is that? Bhavataha seva. Is it not enough we do a seva for you? Once. That is what it says. Nalamba sakrudeva deva bhavataha seva. Then there are 6 things which are mentioned there. Natihi, nutihi, puja, smaranam, katashravanam, api alokanam. So there are 6. See, Prahlada talks about Navavida Bhakti. Right? Vajanam, Kirtanam, Pada Sevanam, all those are there. No? So there are 9 of them. So here there are 6. They're all same thing, rolled by different people at different times. So here there are 6 things. First thing is Natihi. Natihi means Namaskara. So is it not enough if we do a Namaskara? Right? Nutihi. Nutihi is Stotra. Stuti. Nuti is actually Stuti. So is it not enough if we do Stotra? Okay. Then comes Puja or Puja Va. Is it not? If you do just the Puja. Right? That's the third. Then of course Smaranam, Kathashravanam, Api Alokanam. Now these 6 are, there are 2 blocks here. These 6 are come under 2 blocks. We have first to understand that. If you look at the first 3, right? The first 3 are something to do with Karmendriya. Because, if you have to do Natihi, you have to use, Sashtanga, Ashtanga, Namaskara, all those we are saying. So it is, your Karmendriyas are put to use. The seat of all that is Manas only in any case, but even in that, Nati, stotra, you have to use, is kayaka vyapara, vachika vyapara. Stotra is you have to, use your karmendriya called vachya, no? So that is the second thing. Puja. Puja at a time requires everything. My hands are required. You're, maybe uttering a mantra or archana, nama, ashtotra, whatever. But the first three are karmendriya oriented. Whereas the next three are jnanendriya oriented, if you see. That's how you are seeing it here. Smaranam is an act of remembrance. Remembrance is not a karmendriya. It's a subtle. Whereas these are stula sharira. Right? Smaranam, Shravanam, this is another jnanendriya. Shravanam, here. In other words, the first three are activities which are external. Right? Whereas the second three are those in which you have to observe and do something inside. Otherwise, there isn't any meaning to it. So the second one is Shravanam. Api Alokanam. Seeing is also a jnanendriya vyapara. It is not a karmendriya vyapara. It is a jnanendriya vyapara. So the last three are jnanendriya vyaparas. First three in that list are karmendriya vyaparas. So that is the first difference which we are. And there is a reason why Acharya has put two levels. Because of the two, karmendriya is a little easier. People mechanically salute. They may have no respect. Respect is inside. Saluting is a very mechanical act. Like a robo, you can salute. Right? You can say something. So people say something. There is no arjava. So of the two, karmendriya is slightly easier. Some people are not even ready to do it. That's a different story. But between the two, karmendriya is little easier. Jnanendriya is subtle. You have to go to the next level. So that's why there is an order in which Acharya has put all this. But anyway, first we talk about, these are different types of seva we can take. The seva can be taken as a common kind of a reference to all these. So whom do we do namaskara? See, if I have to do namaskara, that's why I'm saying, one level is to do mechanically. But when you have to do a little involved, we do namaskara only when we develop a sense of respect and reverence. Without respect and reverence, we don't do, no? It doesn't work like that. Nama gurukal idare, nama teacher idare, somebody whom we revere. So very naturally we do it. So that by this natihi, what is indicated is, are we able to develop that sense of respect for the Daivatva? That Ishvara, is a Ishvara Pranidhana is what in yoga. In Yoga Shastra, it comes like that. So is there an understanding of this larger principle which governs the world? That thought has to happen. That is the first thought of bhakti, no? The first thought of bhakti is to understand there is something bigger than us. We don't even have to know a name for it. We don't need a shape for it. All that can come later. Very fact that there is something which is bigger than everything is the starting point of bhakti. And when that thought develops, nati will happen. Otherwise, nati is not going to happen. Otherwise, this namaskara is a very mechanical, robotic kind of an intervention that can happen. So, when you say the seva is natihi, with all our bhakti and shraddha, when we offer that sashtanga pranams, when we go to a temple or we go to a devasthana, you go to a prahara or to our guru or things like that, this thought actually crystallizes in our mind. It itself is a progress in our evolution. This is a very important progress in our evolution. It's very, very important because you can't jump straight and go there. So I always say that the first standard child must use both the hands and learn addition, not a PhD student. There you have to move further. But this first step is very important. So therefore, this nati as a seva is a clear, and if somebody is doing with all that seriousness, we have crossed that hurdle now. Somewhere in our subconscious mind, we have understood that there is a larger principle which is governing the world, of which we are all part of it. Only then that nati will happen. It can be in any form. That's why I said it can be in any form, but the thought has to crystallize in our mind. So that is the first thing. Then comes Nuti. The development of that thought is we want to, all that we do, even with our people with whom we are reverential, not just the Devata. Devata is of the highest pecking order. We want to say a few good things. We want to recollect the good things about that person whom we hold in great esteem. That is what all these Ashtotras are. What are these Ashtotras? This Nama Pujanam. If we do the Nama Pujana by understanding the meaning, that means we are able to get involved in that understanding of that gate principle much deeper. That's why the Nutihi is coming. The stotras are all these stotras that we are now going through is only giving us that understanding of that larger principle of the Lord in different leelas, in different kathas, in different rupa and all that thing. So there comes the second level of evolution that we have in terms of Nutihi, which is stotra. And doing a puja is many have completely misunderstood this concept. Doing a puja is not a ritual which has to be done, Ganesh puja, belige, the maadi bega muksbudi. We'll have to finish it. Half an hour, bring this, bring that, and that is a very uncultured, it's a prakrita bhakti. If you go in this order, puja we won't do like that. Because we see it as a deep engagement of a slightly higher order. It's a much deeper engagement. We won't spend an hour. We won't spend an hour, if it is a Ganesha Puja, then we want to take some stotras which we normally not been reading, we want to read on that day. That, Nirajana Admela, stotra parayana, rumba visesha. Tumba visesha. We have to do it. We have to take out 15-20 minutes, half an hour. If it is Krishna Janmashtami, you take, Bala Mukunda Ashtakam, or you take Krishna Ashtakam, or you take, our Mukunda Mala, something, because we actually experience that feeling of that God much deeper. That is the very idea of doing a puja. It is not getting all the padartha and quickly finish it off and finish, then Uta Madbittu, Prasada is there, and a lot of people think like that. I mean, which is again a way to start. There is nothing wrong about any of those, but the real progress happens when we get involved in that act. So the puja is a much higher level of engagement with the concept of a Sarvatma Bhava. That there is an Ishvara which is beyond all of us, which we see in different, and Ramanavami, we see it in, Sita Lakshmana, Bharata Shatrugna, Rama Sameta, Hanumat Sameta, Ramachandra Murti. We, look at that kind of imagery in our mind. If it is Ganesha, then we think something else. But they are all the same. If in Nrsimha Jayanti, we are able to look at that Lakshmi Nrsimha must appear in us, in our mind map. Then if we do puja, whatever puja we do, that takes us to a greater degree of involvement. So the first three that being indicated here shows a certain progress in which we will be able to travel in the path of bhakti, which we must. We can't do it very ritualistically forever. I mean, we may start like that, but there must be a time when we are able to reach a certain stage of understanding, what that principle is all about. If we are able to cover this ground very well, this karmendriya vyapara, when we are able to clean up, I mean, it takes time. And let it take a little time. It takes time when we are able to clean up that act of that karmendriya vyapara, then the jnanendriya vyapara is all little subtle. Because it is not just feeding the signals inside, it is processing the signal in a way it is appropriate. So this karmendriya vyapara, when we are able to clean up, we are ready for the jnanendriya vyapara. So Acharya put the rest later. Then he says smaranam. That smaranam, even in management parlance, they teach marketing, they do branding. What do they say? Brand and marketing. What do they say? They say mind map. You have to enter into the mind space. So the God has to enter into our mind space. And that is smaranam. If you want a word for it, that is smaranam. Because our mind has 1,000 things to accommodate. And we find a very little space for our Ishvara. But by this Karmendriya Vyapara of Natihi, Nutihi and Puja, done with a little more engagement, little more seriousness over a period of time, the Smarana Samskara will become stronger. That recollection, that mind, the notion of the Lord enters into our mind. It takes time, but it enters into our mind. That's why Acharya says Smaranam, right? Katha Shravanam. Now, the very idea of Katha Shravanam is that, there are so many kathas which have come even in this stotra that we have seen. What is the idea? It is only reinforcing the superiority, the importance of that Ishvara, the Ishvara Tattva. And that can be best explained only with some kathas. You can't be, in very abstract ideas, you cannot keep on talking. So Katha Shravanam plays a very important role. In modern parlance, people value a lot on what is called autobiography of leaders. There is a Katha Shravanam of the other kind. Why? Because some great leaders would have done some good things. By reading and getting to understand it, that idea enters into your mind. Puranas are meant for it. That's why Puranas are very rich in kathas. Because that's the easy medium by which we will be able to take some complex concepts, register it very well in our mind, that stays with us much stronger. You remember concepts for the katha. This is what my students used to tell me. I tell a lot of katha in my hardcore lectures. So they say that we remember the concepts because of the stories. That is the idea. So when we say smaranam, the smaranam gets much stronger only with katha shravanam. That's why there is this culture, when there is a, 8-day, 9-day car festival. I remember in my village when I was a child, 8 days we will go, 9 days. Great Harikatha exponents will come and then every day 2-3 hours. Nothing in our house, nothing. That only 7-8 days we are allowed to, just loiter around and so on. But that kind of hearing would have reinforced a lot. Katha Shravanam is very, very important. So, Katha Shravanam avashyakam, Saishavanam Katha Shravanam avashyakam. We have to make them hear the stories. We have to, recite the stories for them. That kind of thing. So, Katha Shravanam is very important because only then this Smaranam gets stronger. The Smaranam gets reinforced with anecdotes, with ideas, which we remember very strongly. So, that's why Acharya says Katha Shravanam. Api alokanam. So the more and more we think through this, for example, let us say I am a Narsimha Bhakta. The more and more you think about it, all that you need is you have to go and see one Yoga Narsimha. That will remain with you for a very, very long time. See, if I go to this Vaikuntham temple once, for days it remains. That Narsimha is always in front of me. That Swarupa Chintanam will happen once all these kind of things happen. So Alokanam is also important. So Acharya gives 6 methods to grow bhakti. 3 of them are, Karmendriya Vyaparas, first 3. The next 3 are Jnanendriya Vyaparas. You do Namaskara, you do Stotra, you do Puja, Smaranam, Katha Shravanam, Api Alokanam. Madrisham was my kind of people. Sadrisha means like somebody. Mat Sadrisha is Madrisha in Sanskrit. Mat Sadrisha is people like me. I am not a very refined person. So people like me, is this not enough? One of this, if I do, even once if I do with a seriousness and with a great feeling of this thing, is it not enough? Is what he says, Madrisham na alam. That's what Acharya says in the first 2 lines of this shloka. Then he says, Swaminna, hey Swaminna, Astira Devata Anusarana Ayasena. So there are 4 words here. The Devatas are Astira. They are not Stira. Abramha Bonan Lokan Pudaravartino Arjuna. That's what in Gita Krishna says. Right from Brahman up to all the Mot Mukoti Devataha, all of them will perish. These are all only ministerial positions. Indra, all the time, all our stories are only talking about it. Indra is all the time worried whether his Indrahood will go or not. So, Devatas are Astira. So there are two ways to understand this Astira Devata. One is Devata themselves are Astira. That is one way to understand this, which is what Gita also says, you know. Or the second way to understand is the pala given by the Devatas are Astira. That's a very transactional thing. And I want this, I want that. Every Friday I will do something. They're all, our goal must be much higher. We want to evolve. We want to reach that pinnacle of happiness, contentment, fulfillment, and all that. So the Devatas, the palas that they can give are Astira. It is only through Atma Vidya we get that Sthira pala. For which the Devata Anugraha is very important, but we don't seem to be asking that. We're asking a lot of things which are all perishables, not imperishables. They are all perishables. In a certain transactional sense, we may be asking. So that is another way to understand Astira Devataha, Anusarana, following them, going after them, Ayasena, Bahu Prayatnena, Bahuda Prayatnena, Palaha Astiraha Bhavanti, Devataha api Astiraha Bhavanti. They are also not to be there, because all will perish. When Pralaya comes, everything goes. Right? Astira Devata Anusarana Ayasena, Kim Labhyate? What do you get? He says they are perishables. See, the biggest self-evolution that we will make in our life is to think what is called perishable and what is called non-perishable. This is a huge thinking. If we start thinking, our life, our self-evolution will dramatically improve. That's why Nitya Nitya Vastu Vichara is called Viveka. Nitya Anitya Vastu Vichara. What is Nitya and what is Anitya? That sense of developing that sense is a great progress in our self-evolution, in our journey of Atma Vidya. That's why it's very, very important. That's why all the Acharyas will actually emphasize it every now and then in their own ways. So Astira Devata is not talking anything less of the Devata. It is talking about that concept of not going after perishables. Our Atma Vidya is all about non-perishables. So we have to apply it to many things in our life. It's not that we'll drop everything. We'll have a huge sense of discrimination with which we'll approach life. We are not going to run away from anything. We will not give up anything. We will not stop anything. But there is a great sense of discrimination which we will be able to exhibit through this. That is why it is very, very important. So he says, Astira Devata Anusarana Ayasena Kim Labhyate. Kava Muktihi Itaha. You know, other than these 5, 6, what is Mukti? So 5, 6 is being referred. Itaha means from this or other than this. What is going to be Mukti? Kava Muktihi Itaha. Kutaha Bhavati. From where else it is not enough. Where else it is going to come? Right? If that is the case, hey, Kim Prarthaniyam Tada. I don't have to ask for anything big. All that I have to do is to do only this. I will be evolved because it will take me through that path of self-evolution. If I have taken this seriously, it will take me through that path of self-evolution. Therefore, Kim Prarthaniyam Tada. There is nothing else I need to really ask for. If I understand this concept, I am not have to go after perishables. I know that imperishables are within my reach. All that I have to do is I have to do the 6 sevas or Navavida Bhakti, as Prahlada says in Srimad Bhagavatam, whichever way you want to understand it. All that we need is this. I don't have to go after many things and do it, is what is being implied here. So this Kim Prarthaniyam, that's a few cross quotations I wanted to just give you. See, Madhusudana Saraswati, this is what he says about Krishna. Okay? So what he says, Vamsi Vibhushita Karat, his Swarupa Chintanam, you just see, this is called Alokanam or Smaranam. Look at what he is saying. Vamsi Vibhushita Karat, okay? Navanirada Abhat, his hue is like Navanita, okay? Pitambarat, right? Aruna Bimba Pala Adharostat. Oshta is like Bimboshta, but like the also about like the rising sun, which is dark red. Right? That's what it is. Aruna Bimba Pala Adharostat Purnendu Sundara Mukat Aravinda Netrat. Look at his conceptualization of every anga of Krishna. Aravinda Netrat, Krishnat, Param Kimapi Tattvam Aham na jane. I don't know anything ultimate than this. So that Smaranam and that Alokanam is so clear that it shows up like this in his, so that's all Acharya is saying. Develop that. That will take you where you need to go. So that's what, is being told here. Srimad Bhagavata Mahapurana in the Sashti Skanda, 6th book. In the 6th book, there is this story of this Vritrasura being killed. His eldest brother Vishwarupa was killed. He got angry. Those are the first 8-9 chapters. Then to kill this Vritrasura, the Dichi's backbone was taken, and that is a story. In that, this Sarga, this 11th Sarga, and the 12th Sarga is being killed. At the end of the 11th Sarga, Vritrasura knows he is going to die. So he makes a certain beautiful prayers. So I've just taken one out of that. He has made such beautiful prayers before he dies. He says, my death is for sure. Now he says, see what this Asura is saying. Nanaka prishtam nacha parameshtyam nacha sarva bhaumam narasadhipatyam. It's a very famous shloka actually. Narasadhipatyam na yoga siddhira punarbhavam va samanjasatva virahaya kankshe. Nanaka prishtam. Nakasya prishta. I mean, these are all talking about different lokas and the lordship of those lokas actually. Na parameshtyam. Nanaka prishtam is I don't want this Brahmahood. Parameshtyam is the Brahmahood. Naka prishtam is, I don't want it. Nacha paramashtyam. Na sarva bhaumam. I don't want the lordship of the whole bhumi. Sarva bhaumam. Na sarva bhaumam. That, adhipatyam of the whole world, I don't want. Na sarva bhaumam. Na rasadhipatyam. The worlds below. Asala, rasala, tala, sarasadi. That's what adhipatyam. Rasadhipatyam. Rasadhipatyam. That is the, right? Na yoga siddhihi. I don't want ahima, manima, garima, ashtasiddhi through yoga. I don't want that. Na yoga siddhihi, right? Apunarbhavam. I don't want one more birth also. I don't want any of these. Why? If all these are given without the company of the lordship of Krishna, of Vishnu, he says, Tva virahaya kankshe. If there is a viraha, if all these are given to me without your thing, I don't need any of these. There are a set of 4-5 shlokas where he says, what do I need? So, Kim Prarthaniyam Vada, this is what he finally, before he is being killed, in the 12th Sarga, he was killed in the 6th Skanda. So, there he says, this is a very nice thing. I don't need all that. If I don't have that thing with Vishnu, I don't need any of those. That's what the Vritrasura is saying before he being killed by Indra. I know that's what this particular shloka is. We'll move to the next shloka, which again goes back to the earlier 31 and 32. It continues that story actually in a different way. Kim brumastava sahasam pashupate kasyasti shambho bhavad dhairyam chedrishamatmana sthitiriyam chanyai katam labhyate brashyadeva ganam trisan muniganam nashyat prapancham layam pashyan nirbhaya eka eva virahati ananda sandro bhavan. Kim brumaha tava sahasam. Tava sahasam kim brumaha. What to speak of your sahasa, the skillful act that you did. Kim brumaha tava sahasam pashupate kasya asti shambho bhavad dhairyam. Who has the kind of dhairya that you have had? Kasya asti shambho bhavad dhairyam cha idrisham atmanaha stitihi yam cha anyehi katam labhyate. Okay, that is a padacheda. Cha idrisham chedrisham atmanah. Cha idrisham atmanah stitihi iyam. Stiti is strilinga. That's why iyam. Stitiriyam. Stitihi iyam. Cha anyehi katham labhyate. Prashyadeva ganam. Trasan muniganam. Nashyat prapancham layam. Pashyan nirbhaya ekaha eva virahati ananda sandro bhavan. So this is the shloka. Now let us see line 3 and 4 and then go to line 1 and 2. Then it will make a little sense. See, this halahala came. When the halahala came, it was such a terrifying thing. I mean, the description, you have to read some of the Puranas, Shiva Purana and a few other Puranas, you should be able to read and see the details. It was so fiery, so fearsome that not only the Devas and the Asuras just dropped everything, they just ran away because it was all like a, the Pralaya Agni was so ferocious and all that. So, Prashyad Devaganam, they just abandoned and then ran away. Trasan Muniganam, Trasa is fear. That's why Bhartari says, Trasascha notpadyate. Pitva mohamayim pramadamadiram unmatta bhutam jagat. There is a nice shloka. Adityahi gatarahrak samkshiyate jeevitam. Right? Kalopi, bahukarya kuribihi kalopi na jnayate. Pitva mohamayim pramadamadiram unmatta bhutam bhutam. Trasas janma vyadi jara dukkha maranam trasascha notpadyate. People are dying all around, nobody gets fear. Trasa is fear. So here it says, Trasan Muniganam. People out of fear are running. The Munis are all running. Right? The Devas, Asuras dropped everything and it was just a fiery experience. When the halahala came out of the churning of the, Kshirosagra. Right? And Nashyati Prapancham, Nashyat Prapancham. It was so fiery that everybody understood this is going to finish the Prapancha. See, all these words, Jagat, Vishwa, Prapancha, Sanskrit is such a powerful language. Each one has a different meaning. Prapancha is something to do with the Panchatattva, that which is made out of the 5 elements. So it is a much larger term, right? So, Nashyati Prapancham, Nashyat Prapancham. And this looked like a Laya. Srishti Laya, Laya is Samhara. So the whole thing looked as though everything is going to be over. Everybody was running. Helter skelter. Nobody could actually understand what is going on. Everybody was running. Now what happened to Shiva? Pashyan is present continuous. He is not running. He is looking at it. Pashyan asit. Or Pashyan asti. If you have to tell it in present tense, is seeing. Pashyan nirbhayaha. He had no bhaya. There was no bhiti in him. There was no sense of fear in him. Nirbhayaha ekaha eva. All others ran away. You were just standing there. You are just standing there and you are just looking at it. Right? Nirbhayaha ekaha eva viharati. You seem to have been enjoying the whole thing. Whereas it was really fearsome. Everybody just abandoned everything and they were running all over the place. And you were just looking at it and you were sort of enjoying the whole thing. So in that sense, the shloka is coming. Viharati Ananda Sandro Bhavan. The Sandra means embodiment, full of that. So Ananda Sandraha. So you are nothing but embodiment of Ananda. Whereas it was fear, for others it was fear, for others it was great tension, trauma, etc., all those. Whereas Anandra Sandro Bhavan Viharati Nirbhayaha Ekayeva. So the last 2 lines pictorially, depicts what happened when the churning of the Kshirosagra happened, when the halahala came. What was the reaction of the people? Indra, everybody, they all ran away. Because, and Kailasha and Vaikunda, all those, everything, they were fiery because this This Vasha was like a Kalagni. It's like Kalakala. End of the universe has come. That kind of a description you see. So that kind of a fear that they have been having, whereas Nirbhayaha Pashyan Ekayeva Viharati. Ananda Sandro Bhavan. So having said that, now we have to go to first two lines. Kim Brumaha, what do we say? Now what can we say now? And having seen this description, Kim Brumaha Tava Sahasam, your act of this Sahasa that you have done, how are we going to actually explain that? What are we going to say about it? Right? Kim Brumaha Tava Sahasam, He Pashupate, Kasya Asti, He Shambho, Bhavad Dhairyam. See, Dhairyam, Dhirasya Bhavaha Dhairya. The word Dhairya is a Taddita Pada. Dhairyam comes from, right? Dhira. Dhira comes from Dhi. So if you trace the root, Dhi is what? Nothing but Buddhi. Dhi is Dhi in the sense, Dhi is a high sense of discrimination. That is called Dhi. So when you say somebody is a Dhira, that means he is able to use his power of discrimination very well. We have to call that person Dhira. And Dhirasya Bhavaha Dhairyam. That's how this word comes. Although we use it for, some courage or valor. Dhira means we think he is very valorous. He is a very, those are all side meanings. You go to the first principles of the word. One who has a high sense of discrimination, one who is endowed with that quality is a Dhira, and that quality is called Dhairya. So that is how it says. So Shambho Bhavad Dhairyam Cha Idrisham Dhairyam. This kind of a Dhairyam, what are we to have to say about it? Because what happened was something unimaginable. So this kind of a Dhairya, what do we say? Idrisham Atmanaha Stitihi. Yam Stitihi. The way Stiti is Dhairya. What is Stiti? It is steadfastness. See what happens? The difference between a person of matter and a person of not that kind of a character is your ability to hold on when something happens. Right? See, that makes a difference between people. When something happens, some people collapse just like that. They don't know how to handle. They just get succumbed into it. Some people are able to hold on a little bit. Some people are able to hold on and stand by their principles. They are able to hold on. They are able to take a very considered decision despite so much of adversities, right? So that is that sthiti. That's Stairya Bhava, your ability to be steadfast. Steadfast on certain principles which you don't have to actually compromise. Because of our lack of understanding of Nitya, Anitya, Vichara and all that, sometimes we unwittingly compromise and regret later. Nobody does it intentionally. It is just that we are at different stages. Then we regret later. Oh, I should not have done it. I think what I made was wrong. I made a mistake. I should not have done it. Whereas people of that kind of a character, they are able to hold on. There is this clarity of thought. That is the Dhairya. That is the Dhi. That is how the Dhi works. That is how the Dhi plays its role very well. So he says, Yam Stitihi. Your ability to hold on despite such a huge traumatic experience that happened, you are able to hold on. Right? Yam Stitihi, Atmanaha Stitihi. Stitihi, what Stitihi? Atmanaha Stitihi. Your mind was steadfast. You are able to hold on to things and able to handle what came in ahead of you and so on. So Atmanaha Iyam Stitihi Cha Anyehi Katham Labhyate. How can others get this kind of So Acharya is saying this is unparalleled. That when everybody was running, you are able to hold on to yourself. And how do we get that? I think that's very important. And that's what, so it is a prayer that you implicitly, Acharya is saying, bless me with that. Because our life will become a lot more steady, lot more meaningful. and lot less stressful. The regret, many times what happens, we do things at that moment and regret a little later, which clearly shows ideally we didn't want to do it that way. Otherwise, where is the regret coming? The regret is an expression, I didn't want to do it that way, but at that point in time, I collapsed. That sthiti was not there. That stairya bhava was not there. So that is why, we regret a little later. So our regrets can come down. So that's a prayer. And that is the prayer that we need to do. That Kim Brumastava Sahasam Pashupate Kasyasti Shambho Bhavadhairyam Cha Idrisham. This kind of steadfastness. Atmana Idrisham Atmanaha Iyam Sthitihi Anyehi Katham Labhyate. And what is that? That is what he explained in the second two lines. He recollected that particular halahala visha, That's why he said, Brashyad Deva Ganam, Trasan Muniganam, Nashyat Prapancham Layam, Pashyan Nirbhaya Eka Eva Virahati, Ananda Sandro Bhavan. In fact, I have not been doing it. Many shlokas in Shivananda Lahari has a parallel in Saundarya Lahari. One or two I indicated earlier. Many shlokas here actually have a parallel in the Saundarya Lahari. So today I will take the equivalent shloka from Saundarya Lahari. There is a shloka which brings the same idea, but there it is a prashamsa of Devi. That's okay. I mean, these different forms and shapes are to, satisfy our requirement. Devata is eka eva. Ekameva dvitiyam. Neha nana asti kinchana. We have to remember that always. Lord is one. We can take in any form. That's why each stotra is meant for those who are attracted by that form and shape. Perfectly fine. So now let us see what same Acharya says in Saundarya Lahari. You should read Acharya's, stotras on Lakshmi Narasimha Karavalma. You will find something else there. Because, it's all for every one of us. He has served the plate with all possible things for us. So this is the 26th shloka in Saundarya Lahari. Virinchi panchatvam rajati harirapnoti viratim vinasham kinasho bhajati danado yati vidanam nidhanam vitandri mahendri. It's not Mahondri, I think. Bitatirapi sammilita tadrusha mahasamharosmin biharati sati tvat paritarasau. So here, Acharya says it's like the same idea he is saying. What is he saying? Virinchihi panchatvam brajati. When this halahala thing happened, panchatvam is the act of creation. Virinchi is the god of creation. He dropped that. That means he came to an end. That is what is indicated here. He just dropped everything which is to be done. Virinchihi panchatvam vrajati. Vrajanam is to give up, which means the whole thing is over. Okay? Harihi apnoti viratim. So Hari goes back to hibernation. That's the meaning of it. Which means that they are also, sort of Harihi apnoti viratim. Vinasham kinasho bhajati. Vinasham is Yama. One who does Vinasha is Yama. Kinasho bhajati. He perishes. He also just goes away. Because his soul fears him. He also, gets out of the scene. We can understand it that way. Kinasho bhajati. Danado yati nidhanam. Nidhanam means death. Danada is Kubera. Danam dadati iti danada. The da, in all Sanskrit, da is the giver. Annada, Sukada, Danada. Danada is Kubera. Annada, Sukada, Dukada are also there. So, it all depends on what is being given. Right? So, anyway. So, Danada is Kubera. Yati Nidhanam. Yati is goes. Goes to death. Means all are just sort of getting out of the scene. Kind of a thing. Vitandri, Mahendri, Vitatirapi, Sammilita Drisha. All these devas, Mahendri, Indra, all that, they close Sammilati, Sammilanam. They close their eyes and everything is, they are also switching off all the systems. first 3 lines, as Acharya is saying, everybody is switching off their system because it's halala is such a huge thing that is happening. Mahasamharaha asmin, when that is happening, viharati tvad patihi. With you, your pati is in vihara, viharati. He is not worried about all this. So like that, he is telling a very similar idea in, Soundarya Lahari also. There are many shlokas in Shivananda and Soundarya Lahari which are parallel, because basically the same idea which is being told in different ways. So there are 3 shlokas in which the halala mahima is there. Otherwise, Acharya has been bringing all these stories, the Nalamba Sakradeva Deva, what we saw today. We have seen an earlier version of this in a different way. If you remember, he said, Samipyam Tava, Bhakti Jana, Durya Janata, Sangatya Sambhashani. All these are already told in a different way. Kritarthosmyaham, Siddhamatra Bhavati. One shloka we saw, about 5-6 shlokas. It's also talking about Sankirtana, Kathashravana, all those only it was saying. The same idea is coming here also. That Acharya is repeatedly emphasizing that that's why even in Viveka Chudamani, right? He says, Moksha Samagriyam Bhaktireva Gariyasi is what Moksha Sadhana Samagriyam Bhaktireva Gariyasi. Bhakti is very, very important. Mere Vedanta thinking is just one side. Both if it goes, that will make us pakwa. So that is why these granthas bring the different shades of bhakti, different ways we have to approach bhakti. So that progress that we have to make in that highway of bhakti is what is being emphasized in different ways. He talked about, I take my manas is like a tent, so therefore you get there. My manas is like a monkey. You are anyway bhikshuka. You need a monkey. Why don't you, Bhavada Deenam Kuru Vibho. Right? He says you are a bhikshatana. So in many ways, Acharya is again and again bringing the notion that bhakti is all about engaging the manas into that Ishwaratva. That's why these Karmendriya and Jnanendriya Vyaparas are being put here repeatedly. You see it in many different ways. This particular shloka repeats. This will come again in another format a few shlokas down the line. That's how it goes. I see the same thing in other Bhakti Granthas also. All Acharyas are saying the same thing. There is a way of saying, there is a Ishta Devata is little different. So that Alankara is different. Sarupa Chintanam is a little different. But the Tatparya is no different. Whichever way you go about, I think the idea is the same. So that is what is happening. I think we will stop here for the day and continue next week with the other shlokas. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Shubharatri.